Okay, Assalamualaikum and hi. Today we will continue our lab session, which is lab 4, topic unsupervised classification. So this is the contents. We are going to look on what is image classification, what is unsupervised classification, today's objective, how to do, homework and question. Okay, so as we already know, a raster image were made up from several pixels, or sometimes we call grid. So what is image classification? Image classification is a process where we categorize or we classify all the pixels in the raster image to its specified classes. So for example, for the land cover classification classes, we have sometimes vegetation class, water bodies class, barrel land, and many more. So commonly, we applied to classify digital image into land cover. Common method used, which is unsupervised classification and supervised classification. So there are two main methods in order to do the image classification, which is unsupervised and supervised. So the major steps of image classification may include determination of a suitable classification system, selection of training samples, image pre-processing, feature extraction, selection of suitable classification approaches, post-classification processing, and accuracy assessment. This is the complete task for the image classification, but however, for this lab, you will only to do the unsupervised classification without the post classification and so on and so forth. Okay, so the users need a scale of the study area, economic condition, and analysis skills are important factors influencing the selection of remotely sensed data, the design of the classification procedure, and the quality of the classification results. This is how the classification process were done. So the raster image were made from several pixels or grids. So every pixels have its own digital numbers, as we can see in this figure. So we will assign the algorithm, which is unsupervised classification or supervised classification, to the raster image, and the algorithm will classify the pixels to its specific classes. For example, here we have three classes, which is water, agriculture, and rock. Okay, so this algorithm will classify the pixels based on spectral value or digital number of each pixels. So for example here, for class A, which is water, pixel number or pixel number from 1 to 20 will classified in class water. So pixel value from 80 to 100 will be classified to agriculture classes, and the third one, digital number from 150 to 200 will be classified to rock class. Okay, so this is some samples of image classification outputs. So as we can see here, the left figure is the original image or the raster image, and the right figure is the image classification outputs. So by the end of the classification process, you will produce the classification maps or the classification image with its symbol that represents the real world. So for example here, we have several class, which is water, coniferous forest, mixed forest, deciduous forest, swarm, and many more. So each classes will be represented with their own color code, which will differentiate one classes to another. What is unsupervised classification? So as I already mentioned earlier, there are two types of classification method, which is unsupervised and supervised classification. So unsupervised classification is a method that separates the unknown pixels in an image based on the reflectance values of the Earth features into classes without the direction from the analyst. Based on the idea that different feature types on the Earth's surface have a different spectral reflectance and remittance properties. Using clustering techniques, the software will classify the pixels of the same reflectance values into specific groups. The difference between the unsupervised classification and supervised classification is that the unsupervised classification did not have to determine the training sample or the training pixels. So, the unsupervised classification, what we need to do is to define how many classes that we want for the output image. By using the clustering techniques and the reflectance values, the unsupervised algorithm will process the raster image to produce the classification image without any direction from the user or the analyst. There are two types of clustering technique, which is k-means and isodata. The objectives of this lab to classify the image into 5 land cover categories using unsupervised classification technique. At the end of this laboratory session, the students should be able to understand and perform unsupervised classification on 2 different images. Students should be able to: Part 1. Generate thematic raster layer. Part 2. Analyze individual classes. And Part 3. Recode the image. Okay, so this is what you will do on Lab 4. You will be given 2 datasets, and the first step is to subset both images based on the coordinate given here. And the second one, perform unsupervised classification for both subset imagery. So, by the end of the process, you will have 4 output classification image, which is 2 from the k-means method and another 2 from isodata method. Refer to the manual given here as well as video lab session.